On the glittering ring city of Orcs 9, a mother with violet skin stands before a toy she can never afford, a Starlight doll that every human child owns. Her daughter asks for it softly, and she whispers, "I can't buy you a Starlight doll for your birthday, because this world decided our kind don't deserve dreams." But that night, one human breaks the rule and changes everything. The sun over Orcs 9 never truly set. It only dimmed into silver haze that made the city rings glow like halos in the mist. From above, the Lumina Market looked perfect, floating bridges, crystal floors, and glass kiosks spinning soft music through artificial air. But perfection always hid someone else's hunger. Among the polished humans and drones, Nera walked carefully, her shawl drawn close, her violet skin glimmering under cold light. Beside her, Mira, only 7, clutched a pouch made from recycled cloth and hope. Today was her birthday, though she didn't mention it aloud. Birthdays meant wanting, and wanting hurt. They stopped before the Starlight doll display, hundreds of glowing figures twirling inside a holographic dome, each one projecting miniature galaxies into the air. The dolls were programmed to speak, dance, even remember their owner's name. To most children here, they were toys. To Mira, they were miracles. "I like that one," she said, pointing to a doll with braids of shifting light. Her voice carried that trembling mix of courage and restraint only poor children learn. Nera smiled, though her chest tightened. "We can look," she said softly. Looking still free, but the vendor's voice sliced through the moment. "Step back," he barked. "Sensitive tech. The system misreads alien biosigns." People turned. The word alien echoed like an accusation. Nera froze, forcing her chin high. She wouldn't shrink. Not again. Before she could speak, her wristband beeped. Access suspended, ration ID flagged. The crowd murmured. To them, she wasn't a mother. She was a glitch. Then from behind, a calm human voice. "Reset the scanner." She didn't trigger that. A tall man in a dark coat approached. Eden, a human inspector, his badge glinting under neon light. His tone was steady, almost bored, but his eyes sharp, watchful. The vendor stiffened. "Sir, her data is falsified," Eden interrupted. "Unless you enjoy violations under my jurisdiction." The air shifted. The vendor backed away, muttering apologies. Nera didn't thank him. Pride was all she had left. Eden studied her for a moment, then said quietly, "That alert wasn't random. Someone's trying to erase you, for the first time." Nera felt something colder than fear, recognition. That night, the lower rings pulsed with dull amber light, the kind that made every shadow look like smoke. Nera sat by the vent in her cubby, clutching Mira's sleeping form against her chest. The child's breath was soft, steady, unaware that her mother's ID was frozen. Without it, no food, no water, no home. Nera stared at the silent ration console. It blinked red, waiting for clearance she couldn't earn. "They think I'm invisible," she whispered. "But they still managed to step on me." The sound of boots echoed in the corridor, even patterns, government-issued souls. Nera's heartbeat jumped. She wrapped Mira tighter and braced herself. A coded knock broke the silence. 2 short taps, 1 pause. She hesitated, then opened the door slightly. Eden stood there, holding a portable scanner and something wrapped in foil. "I traced your flag," he said calmly. "Someone manually entered your ID into a blacklist." She studied him with suspicion. And why would a human risk his badge for a stranger? He shrugged. "Maybe I'm bad at following broken orders." He stepped inside, uninvited but unthreatening, and placed the foil packet on the counter, 2 compressed meal cubes and a small flask of filtered water. Mira stirred, half awake. "Mama, are we in trouble again?" Nera forced a smile. "Not tonight." Eden glanced around the tiny room, rusted walls, patched cables, a mirror cracked down the center. He said quietly, "You deserve better than this." "Deserve?" Nera laughed bitterly. "On this ring, deserve is just a pretty word people use before they shut the door." He didn't argue. Instead, he opened his scanner, revealing the log. "See this?" He pointed at a line of code. "Administrator Varric authorized your suspension. He's been selling ration IDs from the lower rings for credit laundering." Nera leaned closer, disbelief fading into clarity. So we were targets. You still are, Eden replied. He'll erase the evidence, and you, by morning, her voice steadied. Then we stop him before he stops us. Eden gave a faint, humorless smile. Now you sound like someone I could actually work with. Outside, alarms whispered through the ring corridors. The countdown to dawn, and danger, had already begun. The lower corridors of Orcs 9 never truly slept. Pipes rattled, vents hissed, and distant generators sang like tired lungs. Nera followed Eden through the maze of maintenance tunnels, Mira clinging to her hand, eyes wide at every flicker of light. They stopped inside a forgotten repair bay, walls lined with rusted drone shells and tangled wires. The smell of oil mixed with the sweetness of synthetic fruit from a nearby vendor's exhaust. It was chaos, but safer than silence. Eden spread a holographic map across the table. The Starlight doll program, he began, isn't just a toy initiative. Every doll sold carries an encrypted data code that transfers stolen ration credits from lower ring accounts to upper ring traders. Nera frowned. So when my daughter looked at that doll, the system recognized your ID, he said. You saw something you weren't supposed to. Mira sat cross-legged on the floor, trying to mimic the doll's dance from memory. So the doll's bad? She asked innocently. Eden smiled faintly. Not bad, just built by bad people, Nera exhaled. Varric controls the trade. If we expose him, we stop it all, Eden nodded. The festival broadcast in 2 days. Every ring linked in one network. If we upload the files then, the truth goes public. Mira looked up, eyes bright. So we'll show everyone the bad code? Yes, Eden said. Exactly that. For a moment, laughter flickered between them. Quiet, short-lived but real. Then a mechanical hum shattered it. A patrol drone, black and sleek, hovered outside the broken window, scanning. Eden pulled Nera close behind a column, pressing a hand to her shoulder, firm but careful. Stay still. The drone's red light swept the room. Mira trembled silently, clutching her pouch of seashells. The light paused on her hand, then moved away. After a few seconds, the drone turned and vanished into the fog. Nera exhaled shakily. It saw us. Eden's eyes darkened. No, it saw her pouch. He picked it up and scanned it. A faint tracking signal pulsed from inside the shells. Varric's been tagging alien families through children's belongings. Nera's voice broke, part rage, part heartbreak. They're tracking us like property. Eden closed the pouch gently. Then we stop being their property. Tomorrow we strike first. 2 days later the city blazed like a crown of light. The Starlight Festival had arrived. Drones released ribbons of color into the air, and orchestral tones rippled across the upper rings. Every broadcast screen shimmered with the same slogan, Unity through Progress. Nera adjusted her hood as they stepped into the crowd. Her heart thudded against her ribs, not from excitement but fear. Mira walked between her and Eden, clutching his sleeve like a lifeline. No one paid them much attention. The festival was a distraction designed to keep eyes upward, not inward. From the central tower, Administrator Varric delivered his speech, his smile as polished as his uniform. Today we celebrate harmony between species, shared prosperity, and light without borders. His words poured honey, but Nera could almost taste the poison beneath. Eden leaned closer, voice low. He's routing all live feeds through one server. We just have to inject the file once. They moved quickly through the crowd, blending with dancers and vendors until they reached the broadcast control room, hidden behind a holographic wall. Inside, screens glowed with thousands of live angles, every smile, every cheer, every lie. Nera slipped the drive into the port. A green light blinked. It's uploading, she whispered, then everything froze. Access denied. Security override active. Eden's jaw tightened. Someone inside's locking us out. The door slid open. Varric stood there, flanked by 2 wardens. His voice carried calm menace. You didn't think I'd let a factory-born alien rewrite my festival, did you? Nera's fingers curled. You use children's toys to steal from starving families. Varric smiled coldly. And yet you still dream of fairness. How poetic. He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, Mira's small voice cut through the tension. "You talk too much." She tossed her pouch, the same one he'd tagged, into the console. It triggered a surge. The system flickered, then flooded every public screen with Varric's stolen logs. Gasps filled the plaza. His face, his deals, his lies, all exposed. Eden grabbed Nera's arm. "We're out of time." As alarms blared, Nera turned toward the broadcast tower, the truth finally shining brighter than the lights above. The alarms faded long after the crowds had scattered. Smoke curled through the upper ring like a ghost, carrying the scent of burned circuits and panic. By morning, the great city of Orus 9 was silent, bruised, but awake. News feeds ran non-stop. Administrator Varric arrested for grand corruption. His face appeared everywhere, stripped of its charm, replaced by the flat stare of a man who had lost control. For the first time, the lower rings weren't invisible. They were headline material. Down in the Tide Quarter, Nera sat outside her cubby, watching the filtered sunlight push through the vents. Her ration ID blinked green again. Not stolen. Not suspended. Hers. Mira sat beside her, legs swinging, holding a doll. Not the Starlight model, but a handmade one they'd built together from spare wires and cloth. When it turned its tiny head, the eyes lit with a faint star pattern. Eden arrived quietly, coat dusty, a small burn mark on his arm. "They reinstated my clearance," he said, "then revoked it 2 hours later." Nera smirked. "Congratulations." "You're free," he laughed, the sound low and real, not polite, not practiced. "I'm not sure what to do with that yet." She handed him a cup of tea brewed from recycled herbs. "You start small. Fix what you can reach." Mira tugged at his sleeve. "Does this mean you're staying?" Eden crouched to her level. "If your mother lets me." Nera's eyes met his, calm, steady. "You already did." The vents above them whirred to life, cleaner now, humming with even rhythm. Across the quarter, families emerged from doorways, blinking against the new brightness. Someone started music from an old speaker. Laughter followed, hesitant at first, then genuine. Mira pointed at the sky. "Look, the clouds are silver again." Eden tilted his head. "They were always silver. We just stopped looking." Nera wrapped an arm around her daughter, gaze lifting toward the faint lights above. "Then we keep looking," she said softly. As night fell, the stars flickered through the haze, real ones this time, not holograms. Their light touched metal, skin, and memory alike. No speeches, no slogans, just quiet proof that sometimes the smallest light, shared, not sold, can remake a whole world.